Alright guys, this felt like it was a long time coming, but apparently Candace Owens is now out at the Daily Wire. So everybody remembers, it was quite a while ago now, but she was defending Kanye when he was having like a literal Nazi meltdown, when he was saying stuff like, I love Hitler. He was saying, I'm going to go DEFCON 3 on the Jews, or whatever the specific comment was. Well, recently, she got into some fight with Rabbi Shmuley, and Rabbi Shmuley, of course, calls her an anti-Semite. And then she had some rabbi on the show who also called her an anti-Semite to her face, and she was trying to like swap those allegations aside. But then she also did a different segment where she talked about how Jewish gangs run Hollywood, and she tried to soften that by saying, well, look, for black people, there's the Bloods and there's the Crips, there's gangs of every type of person with every ethnicity, but there are Jewish gangs that run Hollywood. This is what her argument was. And so it was just like one thing after another, which, if not anti-Semitic, had like the aura of anti-Semitism around it, right?
Yeah,
everybody knows Ben Shapiro and how he like it's the one identity group where he's like, you know, zero tolerance. I'm going to interpret this in the least charitable way, and I'm going to silence you type stuff. But it's a little bit of an open question as to whether she was fired or she quit, or was like an amicable thing between the two of them. Because
right.
Go ahead.
Well, Jeremy Boring, who's the CEO of the Daily Wire, he put out a post that said that they had, quote, ended their relationship.
Right.
But, you know, that's kind of vague language. And then Candace put out her own post that said, the rumors are true, I'm finally free, or something like that.
Right. So that sounds almost like, yeah, like I wanted to leave too, which I don't know why she would say that, Crystal, because if she wanted to generate the maximum amount of support, all she'd have to do is be like, they fired me, they don't believe in free speech, they said they believed in free speech, how dare they? She could even make the argument, even if I was saying things that were anti-Semitic, you guys, when somebody says something racist, you guys scream free speech. So why is it okay if it's targeted against black people or Latino people, but if it's targeted against Jewish people, all of a sudden now this is outside the bounds of respectability and you have to be let go? You know what I'm saying?
I do.
There were so many.
Yeah.
She had a lane there that was so obvious that seems like she whiffed it.
There are people who are speculating that she actually wanted to get fired.
Right, like she was trying to.
Like she was trying to get fired to make the play exactly as you're talking about, and maybe I don't know how this went down, but it does lead me to believe that since she and they are not directly saying she was fired, they came to some sort of a settlement. You know, I mean, I think it's probably accurate to say she was pressured out, but maybe not technically fired. I do want to, so there's a few things to add. Number one, not only was there the commentary you're talking about, which I think it's fair to classify as anti-Semitic, because she goes beyond, it's fine to say, you know, a member of this identity group is doing X nefarious thing, especially if you actually have a direct connect, whatever. She was going beyond that and, you know, making it more about the entire identity group, putting out there conspiracies that aren't really founded. So I think classifying those comments as anti-Semitic, I don't think that that's a stretch.
I mean, look, defending Kanye based with the stuff he was saying, that is not ambiguous, up in the air, and maybe not. He was saying, I love Hitler.
And not like defending him, you know, in the beginning before he said, I love Hitler, like defending him up to this day, still defending him. So, yeah. And then she also liked a post on Twitter.
Oh, I saw this.
That was something about, like, I think it was in response to
something
Rabbi
like,
Shmuley, like,
Christian
why don't you go drink more Christian blood or something? And she liked that on Twitter.
Don't like that, bro.
So, I mean,
listen, I hate Rabbi Shmuley as much as the next person, but you don't like an actually anti-Semitic post to try to own Shmuley.
I mean, that's
do that.
Literal blood libel, right? So we're not talking about like, oh, she said she supported BDS and she's being smeared as anti-Semitic. This is a little different. But in addition to that, she also has been critical of Israel and didn't she even use the term genocide with regard to what was going on? So she's, from the Shapiro standpoint, to be honest with you,
it's more about the Israel thing.
think he'd have an easier time dealing with the just the
anti-Semitism,
anti-Semitic tropes and conspiracy
going
theories.
After Israel. That's the problem. Look,
that's my opinion. That's my opinion.
I'm gonna go a step further in this respect. Ben should not have fired her. or I don't know the
Pressured her
specifics.
out or whatever.
Yeah, so let's assume, for argument's sake, for a second, that she was actually fired. Ben shouldn't have done it, because these motherfuckers talk such a big game. Free speech, free speech, free speech. If you don't like the ideas, defeat them in the marketplace of ideas. We've heard this a million times, but it's not true. They have their own sacred cows, as they pretend they don't, right? So if you were gonna do your whole grandstanding, virtue signaling bullshit about free speech, okay, motherfucker, follow through with it.
Yeah.
Let this person on your platform do, like tweets that are insanely anti-Semitic, right?
Who, by the way, agrees with you on the overwhelming number of issues. But, this is the most sacred of the sacred cows for much of the right, honestly, much of mainstream America, honestly, but specifically for Ben, this is like core for him.
Yeah, so look, if you want to be in a position where you fire people because you don't like what they say, okay, but then just shut the fuck up about your free speech, anti-censorship nonsense.
Right, cancel culture,
okay?
blah, blah, blah. And it's even beyond that, because it's not just that he said those things, it's that he's made a lot of money holding himself out to being a beacon of anti-censorship and anti-PC and anti-woke and whatever. So it is very hypocritical.
And I wonder how the right is going to break down on this, right? Because you have different factions of the right.
Yeah.
One faction loves Israel, and frankly, they look a little jealous to me that they're like, why can't we have an ethno-state like they have an ethno-state?
Absolutely.
That's one faction of the right. And they also do the pseudoscience eugenic shit of like, the Ashkenazi Jews have the highest IQ, bro. Like, they do that shit too, right?
Correct.
The other portion of the right is just honestly flat out anti-Semitic, and they think like an evil cabal of Jews run the entire world, right? So like, those are the two competing factions. I wonder how this is going to break down, because there are plenty in both camps. So it's going to be a pretty big split. I assume Ben Shapiro's biggest fans will defend Ben Shapiro. And also, I think Ben is smart enough to do a video and basically be like, we didn't fire him. We didn't fire him. Yeah. I think he's smart enough to know that this is the best way for him to approach it. Apparently, Candace is not smart enough to know that her move was they fired me, they pressured me out, they didn't want me here, they don't believe in free speech. It already seems like she's not going in that direction because of what she said, Who
knows what the terms of their separation were and what she was able to say and not say.
I'll be interested to see if she gets to keep her YouTube channel. Because that would be the height of like, we're going to make this as amicable as possible, right? Because it's a Daily Wire created show. Right. Daily Wire created YouTube channel. If they wanted to be assholes, they could have been like, no, this is our channel. So now we're going to give it to somebody else, change the name, fuck off, right? The very amicable thing to do, the very like kind thing to do to try to say, hey, hold your fire in the future type stuff, is to be like, hey, you keep the channel, no money, exchanged, and then take it from there.
I doubt that is going to happen, would be my guess.
Oh, so you think it's going to be a flame war?
I mean, I think they'll view it as a business decision. No, this is our property. It's our IP. It's developed under our brand, and you don't own it. And
but the calculation,
so as you're leaving, like, you have to start from scratch. And she has a huge fan base, and this is generating a lot of attention and interest and whatever. So.
But the calculation would be, in the long run, it's actually a better business move to just get rid of this headache and try not to have her shoot a flamethrower at us every day.
Maybe.
That's why you hand the channel off, if they indeed do it.
Maybe. We'll see.
All right, there you go, guys. Crazy update.